lately we have been flying quite a number of biological experiments, human cells, plant cells, animal cells in space. And this we do for quite short while. It's not a matter of months or weeks or days, but actually 6 minutes. How far up does it go? Is it just out into the atmosphere, just enough to achieve weightlessness? The atmosphere ends at 100 kilometers, and we actually go up to 260 kilometers. So what we do is we launch with a two-stage rocket, solid fuel rocket, and the motor separation occurs around 70 kilometers, and then we have a tremendous speed going upwards by around 2 kilometers per second. And when we have finally separated from the motor and we have stopped any kind of roll of the payload, where we keep the experiments, then we are actually at an altitude of 100 kilometers. And from this point onwards, or from this point, the microgravity condition starts. And that means that we have what you would call a parabolic orbit. We go high speed upwards until we reach our apogee, and then starts falling back again. And as soon as we hit the atmosphere, about 100 kilometers again, then we are in non-microgravity conditions. We start decelerating, and I think the experiment time is over by far by then. And what happens to the rocket? Does it land by parachute? We take down what we call the payload. That one is landed by parachute, which is activated at 5 kilometers altitude. And then in the final stage, it is sinking at a speed of approximately 8 meters per second, which is very neat. It lands quite far off from the launching site. The launching site is Swedish Space Center up in above the polar circle near Kiruna. We land at a site which is around 70-80 kilometers north of this spot. And this is in an area, quite vast area, deserted, not completely. There are reindeers, some people in the area. At this time of the year, there are very few tourists around. There could be some people out fishing, but we always have a control and do a survey of the area before we launch a rocket. Yeah, you don't want it hitting anyone, do you? We do not, absolutely not want to hit anyone, and we have very high safety measures here. And out in the area, there are bunkers for people to take rescue in when they know that we are launching. I mean, it's maybe we have around, maybe there would be some 20 people out in the area, which stretches 90 kilometers wide and 60 kilometers broad. So the risk is absolutely minimal, I would say non-existing. And the information that you're after in your various experiments, is that all gained by computer when it's up there, or is it actually physically got from the rocket, you said, that's landed and taken back to the lab? What is being carried out are experiments that are led by science teams. Our customer is the European Space Agency, ESA, and they have had an announcement of opportunities to the science community for the possibility to execute experiments in weightlessness. Then there has been a selection of experiments, and now the experiment teams or the science teams are here, and either they conduct the experiments on the payload, or they have instructed us how to do, and they are supervising, or they are taking care of the results, or enjoying the results. So on the mission, we have experiments in many disciplines. We have biology, and we have material science, alloys, and we also have fluid science. And when it comes to biology, there are actual blood samples from Kiruna citizens that were collected the day before. And here we study, or the scientists rather, they wish to study the effect of microgravity or non-gravity on the immune defense system, because it has been seen that astronauts become very sensitive to, they easily attract diseases like, get cold, simple stuff, but they're much more sensitive to illnesses in space. This was seen 20 years ago, and it's still under investigation, and people try to understand why this is the case. So they're hoping to actually
to take that forward by not having to send up any astronauts, but a simple one with the help of people like yourself?
Well, I think it's an easy means of gaining knowledge and doing scientific studies by sending up blood samples. And we're not talking about much here, where it's more like 30 milliliters in total from one of the blood donors. I think it's both for the future. It's astronauts that's going to continue sending up astronauts in space. But one of the outcomes could also be that once we learn more about how the immune defense system could be helped for astronauts, it could also be applied on terrestrial conditions, where everyday man could possibly, but the people that have difficulties with an overactive immune defense system, like allergical reactions against food or grass or even digestion things, there could also be an outcome for the everyday man.
So the drug companies would be very interested in research like this?
This is beyond my knowledge. All I know, this is basic research, and there are a huge community being very interested in this. And I can see the science team that are now presently working on this the day after the launch and retrieval of the biosamples. They are very eager and happy to analyze the results, and I understand that the complete analysis won't be made in the first coming weeks, but it will be a matter of a month, and then there is the understanding of the outcome of the analysis. This
was number 12, as you say, MASER rocket.
Yep.
How expensive is it, the whole project, and how many years, how long does it take before you have MASER 13?
That was a very tricky question, the last one, because we don't know. We have plans for MASER 13. Now, the customer, European Space Agency, they need, of course, a budget for this to launch a new mission and a mission request. But would we get the order today, then we would be ready to fly within, say, 18 or 24 months. I think in this respect, it's short time compared to flights that you could do on the International Space Station, where the flight and the return of the samples is it's much longer time delay until you can get this through. And when you speak about cost and normal budget for such a project, which involves now we had 5 experiments flying. It was a 400 kilograms heavy payload and was 5 meters long. It was a development of 3 years in total, and participating countries were 6 countries in Europe, with possibly up to 50 engineers working on this. And the total cost was around 10 million euros.
And it's designed and made locally, is it here?
It is designed and produced in Sweden in cooperation with other countries from Italy, Belgium, Germany, and France, and also Holland. So we try in this context to spread out the international participation to other countries, also because we think that this is there are very skillful people and companies in these countries, and also because the European Space Agency works on the basis that many countries should participate to each and every project. And this is a project that is large enough to be carried out in this way. And the Swedish budget for space activities is quite limited, though, so this is a very good way of carrying this out.
And how much has this rocket developed then over the years since that very first one?
When it comes to the propellant part, that is classic. We use classic propellant. I'm sure that it develops a bit over the years, but we never go to any high-tech propellants, liquid propellants. It's solid, not gunpowder, but close to it. When it comes to the electronics inside the experiments, then we have developed quite a bit over the years, and now it's printed circuit boards, electronics, mechanical timers have been replaced by electronic timers. We have no longer an analog video, it's just digital video, which is, of course, much more flexible in terms of what you can do. But when it comes to the classical rocket science, an orbit is an orbit, a trajectory is a trajectory, and we don't change much in that sense, since we want to be safe, and what has been proven safe over the years, we keep that. We use still that technology. The launch tower that is being used dates from the late 60s, actually.
Okay, and on a personal level, as you said there, it took 3 years for the rocket, and with all the money and all what's involved, it sounds like, as you counted down to the launch date, which was first on Saturday, wasn't it? And it was postponed because of the weather. It must be very, very nervy moment for you.
This was my 8th campaign, and I'd say that the first one I was quite nervous about what was going to happen. Over the years, I've learned that if we do a good job and we've got good control of each and every critical equipment, then we know that we are safe. So this time I had no doubts whatsoever on anything. The key factor here is to test everything once and once and once over again until we know for certain that all components in this quite elaborated system work, so that we will not have any mishaps while during the flight, because the flight is 6 minutes short and we have no way whatsoever to go up there and repair whatever is not working. No, I'd say that I feel quite safe knowing that we and all our partners have done a very good job preparing all this.
But even though it's the 8th time, I presume that the excitement is still the same when we see it blast off and those 6 minutes.
I tell you, the excitement is huge, and the relief when everything has gone well is huge. And I was very happy to see smiles on all the scientists' faces when they could actually see their experiments running on their screens done in the scientific center in real time during the flight. They were very happy, and a very dense atmosphere, and everyone was so concentrated, and thereafter there was a sigh of relief and joyful cries. So it was beautiful. Some people even laughed out of joy, because what they saw was sometimes so unexpected that they thought, oh wow, this is great.